Hey everybody, welcome to South Olympic Branch episode 103. Yesterday evening I got back from the 2025 PNR Convention, that's Pacific Northwest region of the National Model Railroad Association. That convention was held in Pasco, and most of this episode is talking about what I saw and where I went. So sit back and enjoy this. I know I did. From my house to Pasco is about 3.5 hours, but first I went over to Federal Way and picked up Byron. After we left Byron's house, we cruised up Highway 18, hopped on I-90, and then pulled off at Easton for a bathroom break and to see if we could spot any trains. Exit 90 at South Clealum, veer to the right, and veer to the right again, and you'll be on Highway 10, which will take you through the Yakima River Canyon. This is not the fastest way to get to Pasco, but if you like trains, it's a good way to go. If you leave Ellensburg on Canyon Road, it becomes State Route 821 and eventually leads to Yakima, and it's not the fastest way to get to Pasco, but if you like trains. Okay, so I'm here at the 2025 Pacific Northwest Region NMRA Convention in Pasco, Washington. And in one of the ballrooms here, the N-scale guys have set up a Fremo layout. So this is Fremo N. And so they brought some modules with them from different places. Some from places like Vancouver, some from Idaho. And I think there's even a guy here from Oregon, but I'm not sure about that. Anyway, so I just want to get a quick overview of those N-scale modules. Aha, I was right. Astoria, Oregon.
This was a high priority list.
Where the heck is Oysterville, Washington? I never heard of that.
I'm just curious how you made the volumes. How did what? The sockets.
Nice.
Oh, they're just 3/4 inch. Also conduit.
It's an interesting look. Of Inland Northwest, I believe is Spokane area. And it looks like these guys are using wooden dowels for legs.
So, all of my other models that I didn't bring were all running metal legs like that right there. With 3D printed pockets. So it's half inch EMT. Which
And here is the HO scale modules that were brought. So this is, some of these modules belong to the Spokane group and HO scale, and some of them belong to our friends up in British Columbia. So, there's one by Alan and Mike for the Inland Washington group. Oh, they're inland, and they're inland Washington and Idaho. And then these modules, this one I happen to know was built by Larry Siebele with the British Columbia, the Cold Slap group up in Chilliwack, British Columbia. This module set I don't know that I've seen before, so I don't know who this belongs to. Looks like somebody's going for a more arid theme. Oh, here we go. Vista Falls by Lee Chessman in Spokane, okay. And continuing on the HO scale trek. I don't believe I've seen this one before. And it's another one with the Inland Washington Fremo modelers. Dan and Peg Figgy. I got to admit, I'm beginning to wish I'd brought a module just so I could include something of my own in this nice setup. This looks like it's Allen. I don't know that I've seen this module before, but I'm pretty sure I have met Allen. Anyway. And Baghdad Road, again by Dan and Peg. So this looks like it's a kennel. I don't think I've ever seen anybody model an animal shelter. Oh, it's a zoo. Okay, it's a zoo. What a zoo. Oh. Cattails by Bill Voot, it looks like. Cool. All right. Maybe I'll get back over here tomorrow and we'll get to see some trains running on this one. Right now they don't have any running on it. Partial corner. Oh, great, another cellular tower. All right, reverse loop. Looks like we got a single track reverse loop. Guessing they built this one so that these could be stacked up because the edges are higher than the track. That's one way to protect the track. It probably works pretty good. All right. And that concludes my overview of the Fremo HO layout at the 2025 Pacific Northwest Region NMRA Convention in Pasco. Byron and I had signed up for the Friday morning tour of PF&S Rail Supply out in Pasco. PF&S has long been a reseller of collections and new stuff on eBay, and I guess they even used to go to train shows. Now they operate out of a warehouse here in Pasco, and they've also taken over some small model railroad manufacturers like Tomar, the signal company, and they've been producing those now. So a while back I had looked for some Tomar signals and I couldn't find any. Now that they're in production again, I'll have to check that out. And there's Byron staring at the rows and rows of bins that kind of reminded me of my dad's old auto parts store. On our way back from PF&S, we pulled off at the Pasco Yard to see what we would see. At this point, I had discovered that there's a hump yard there. Didn't know that. So Byron and I pulled off and watched some cars roll downhill. That's kind of fun. I'm going to figure out a way to maybe replicate this on a model railroad somehow.
It's okay. Probably can't hear you anyway.
As I stood there watching covered gondolas roll downhill, I realized I could be quite content doing that for a while. But we had some other things to do. I wanted to check out Robin Peel's clinic on LCC, even though I know quite a bit about that, see what his perspective is. And later, there was an upcoming layout tour where there was at least one layout I wanted to look at. In case you didn't know, in the world of model railroading, presentations guys put on a particular topic are often referred to as clinics. I've done a few myself.
You know, I think if I were going to do a railroad.
Friday afternoon, I visited the Glory B in Middleton, an HO scale layout by John Decker. Interestingly, the setting for this railroad is from Chehalis to Willapa Bay via Grays Harbor. The beautiful railroad, I think, was probably set in the 1930s, but it doesn't really remind me of Grays Harbor very much. Still, it's a really nice looking railroad.
Getting ready to operate at the Tri-Cities Model Railroad Club. Since I'm waiting for my train to be built, I thought I'd take a look around.
Okay. We'll have it out in a little.
Oh, okay, all right.
I can't find those.
Hold on.
No bumps.
Yes. If you could, let me start in on this one.
Still looking good, right?
The next tracks. The tracks are coordinated 2, 3, 4. There is no 5 anymore. So, okay. So, where am I putting it?
You're clear to deactivate. Thank you.
This is one heck of a helix, and it's just one of the 2 stacks of helices they have.
Say goodbye to Kennewick. Say goodbye, my baby.
The Tri-Cities Model Railroad Club calls their layout the Northern Pacific Mid-Columbia Division. The layout is HO scale, and in a little over 3 hours, I ran 3 trains. Took a number of still shots for, a closer look at certain scenes. There's a lot of scenery that's not done yet, but what they have done looks really good.
Oh man, I forgot to blow for the crossing. Probably because I was doing something stupid like videotaping myself running a train at the same time I'm running a train. This engineer probably should be fired. Here comes Phil putting the bridge down. Oh. At Finley, we're doing some drop-offs and some pickups. And I'm pretty much through sorting cars at the Finley Yard here. Got a little bit more to do. And then I'll run to PFNS staging, and that'll be the last run for me tonight here. I've run 3 trains, so pretty complete, I thought. Bang. And I have now left Finley and I'm approaching Richland, which is PFNS staging on this layout. Yeehaw! Back at the convention the next day, I was watching the Fremo guys run their trains again.
bullshit.
Please stand clear of the doorsteps until the door is open. Éloignez-vous de la porte, s'il vous plaît. Ladies and gentlemen, the doors are closing. Please stand clear of the doorsteps. Mesdames et messieurs, éloignez-vous de la porte, s'il vous plaît.
Hey, look, an Amtrak turboliner. NMRA President Gordy Robinson was at the convention. And Gordy lives in Scotland, but since he can work remotely, he has the ability to travel a bit more. The Spokane, Pasco, and Columbia Railroad is made up of a bunch of modules that used to belong to the River City modelers. And Ben Amadeo took them over and has them in a building outside his house.
This, it had the oil storage there and River City, but that mine, somebody donated a pre-built model to the club, which I purchased because there were two tracks that just dead-ended, and it seemed perfect fit at the end of those two tracks. Mm-hmm. So I incorporated that in there. The piece at the end is all lumber and team tracks, right? You can see where the SP&S cars are, and then
recreation program. So we're in with their other clubs in this one lease building, and then they decided to close it for various reasons, and then we had to go home. So we got into the group of the Pacific Northwest Railroad Archives. The group was gentlemen that started it, and it was exciting. And they bought their own building, so they're archiving any of the paperwork for
largely in the Midwest, and slowly being shipped there and archived and more properly cataloged.
Oh yeah. I'm the president of our club, and I'm on the board of the PNRA, so I'm familiar with that.
It really is a great concept to have a single entity like that managing the archives for 3 or 4 of those streets.
And so, and I've worked throughout my career. I've tended to work overtime, you know, and so I've been blind trained since the '80s.
Okay. Well, Larry and I both in a club in Seattle area. Gary and Boyne Orangemall Railroad Club. So we started that club in 1980. We've had to move 3 times, but that's okay. Get a better spot each time.
Well, yeah, especially usually though, by the time you move to a new spot, usually the cost is up.
Well, yeah.
Remember how to do it here.
The Kokomo Junction Railroad is an N-scale layout by John Pettigrew. It's a nice layout. He's also got an HO scale track above it, you'll see in a couple of minutes here, and some G scale way up at the top. He says the layout is big boy ready.
I see you got the high lines up here.
Yeah, yeah.
Looks-
G gauge and HO gauge.
I was gonna say it looks like, yeah, that's what I was thinking, that train up there was
Topman.
Yeah.
I was thinking that was HL.
Yeah, the very top one is G gauge.
Yeah. Interesting.
Get some more lights turned on.
Yeah, so it looks like you've got a little bit of a grade going on here.
Yeah,
So-
there is.
Yeah.
Somewhat there.
Yeah. Goes up there and
And most of the grade, longest grade is running in the tunnel and down to the lower level.
I like the somewhat hidden lake you have over here. It's kind of cool.
The Kootenai Northern Railroad is constructed by Phil Miller and is an HO and HON3 layout.
South Pacific, Southeast Railway for the standard gauge, the Castle and Sandon for the narrow gauge.
Okay. And you got some dual gauge it looked like too in there.
Yeah,
The
that's,
package I saw anyway.
that was driven by the fact that's the only place you could put the narrow gauge yard.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and made all this whole yard narrow gauge.
Sure.
I do have a operating scenario where I could pull all the standard gauge off and do narrow gauge shit, switching in there.
Okay.
Plus it was fun, it's kind of fun building. It took 6 years to make a track.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Is that all?
It's, except for this logging peninsula, it's all handmade.
Yeah, okay. That's, encouraging that people to do that. I was pretty comfortable with that. I'm with the boys in Point Ball Railroad Club. The other side of the road. Yeah. Brilliant. And, our first module, we hand laid everything. And, that was good. One module I had 13 turnouts or crossings. We haven't tried that. One module had to go. It was a mountain module, a mining module. Oh. So it had some.
All your trees hand built? Yeah, super trees.
I was gonna say they kind of remind me of super trees. I've got a bunch of super trees myself, so
Yeah, they make good trees, make good bushes.
yeah.
Yep.
It's early fall and in this case, northeastern DC, on the logging south, western DC.
Sure.
Early fall. I hate pure green forests.
Yeah.
I love to see them when I'm out in them,
Yep.
but I hate them for a while.
Well, you probably won't like mine very much then. My layout is early summer is what it is. Of course, I don't have a lot of
So
super.
early summer.
Yeah.
This is the third layout of my home that I had. Oh, well, so Pasco, and this is in the house, it's got the down to bedroom, and hand like that, and hand like this. And the original club layout that we had done by the Richland Y, we had like that.
Saturday evening, there were a series of mini clinics at the convention. This is where they had some tables set up in a room, and people could just rotate from one table to the other, seeing what guys were doing. This trolley was controlled by Arduinos. The Arduino had IR sensors connected to it and a program that allowed it for a random station stop in the middle of the line. It's quite interesting.
Structures. Well, I thought I was shooting to have this one done.
Right.
Well, I got working on it. I went out and spent an hour here, an hour there, and finally,
Robin was saying at the he was saying that Sprague, the company that makes the Sprague, has come out with an LCC board that is designed to drive the solenoids. So theoretically, with these, you could use that board to drive up to 8 of these. And you can do things like Al has custom design you guys do with the yard, where you hit one button and it lines a whole string of turnouts for you.
Yeah, I just saw that from Sprague the other day.
Yeah, and I think he said that board was like $62 or something US, but they're like they're a European company, so you have to think about import. So anyway, but yeah, no, that's all interesting. I can see how, like, I've got a module that I haven't put a tortoise on yet, but I drilled the hole for it, and it's got a Pico switch on it. So I was thinking, well, maybe I would get one of these and do that first.
These are in the $18 to $25 range.
Yeah.
And these are not much more.
Okay.
Maybe $5. These are all digital. So DP stands for digital.
Oh, okay.
So these each have their own decoder and they're digitally addressable.
Sweet.
This is the digital equivalent of this one.
Okay.
This one is the digital equivalent of this one.
Of that one. Okay.
Which is the tortoise replacement.
Manual versus digital. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
These are addressable. Anything that can, Operations Pro, Panel Pro, Digitrax controllers, anything that can address addressable controller can
dial it up on the throttle and throw the turnout. Yep. Okay.
This one, the 16, is identical to this, except you can separately power it through a toggle switch. So you can power, these are all powered from the DCC bus.
So that would give you...
These are powered from the DCC bus, but you can also run a separate switch for this one and override the DCC address. That gives you a real easy way to have either panel or computer.
Yeah, give people an option who are more manual people who don't want to deal with, tiling it up on their throttle, which even as a fairly technical person myself, I don't really want to do that when I'm running a train.
Let him finish.
Anyway,
This has a
go ahead.
stationary decoder in it.
Yes.
Built in.
Yes.
Okay.
For about $5 more.
Yeah, that's good.
And I mean, for decoder built in, $5 is not bad. That's not bad.
I think it's in that range.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Or if you want to spend money for a three-way latching push button.
Okay.
They do make a push button that's push in is one, and push again and come out, and it's the other way. But they're really expensive, I think.
Well, that's what the Tri-City Club's got on theirs. I mean, they're driving tortoises, but that's the push button.
They're driving it through an interface.
What they've got is actually, my understanding is they've got LCC over there.
Yes, they have LCC. They're driving.
So it's still a button you push once and it goes one direction.
Yeah.
You push it again, it goes the other direction.
Yeah.
Functionality to me is the same. If it's not, then I don't understand.
Okay, so
Dave was at the convention as well, and unlike me, he actually remembered to bring a couple of his locomotives. Here he is running one of them. He didn't know how to consist on Digitrax, and by the time I caught up with him, he was just about done running. Okay, so these are the windows they had at PFNS. I think I like this one the best for the celestial windows that'll go in the paper plant building. So I'll have to measure those out with the calipers and then see if I can draw up a piece for those to stick into. But this one would also, this Tichy one that's number 8295, might also work for that. Or maybe this other Grant Line 5299. But like I said,
I think I'm liking this one. I think I like the spacing of the lights on this one, or the panes, whatever you want to say. So there's that, a selection of windows. That ended up being all that I actually bought at PF&S. So I spent less than 20 bucks there with a couple other windows that I bought, but these are all samples of the same thing.
I wanted to wrap up episode 103 by thanking and congratulating the 5th Division for the convention that they just put on. I had a lot of fun, and I think other people did too. And I'm looking forward to the 2026 convention in not Portland, but Tigard, Oregon. Till next time, y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there.